Should
Uh,
we get into some nerdy news, my
I
friend?
think we should. There's been quite a bit this week.
There has. It's been one of the ones where it's like sprinklings of loads of little things.
Yeah.
Um, so last week we spoke about how VFX at Marvel
Yes.
have said they're considering unionizing,
Yep.
and we said you unionize, you brilliant motherfuckers. Um, or words to that effect.
Yeah, something along those lines.
They have announced that the voting for unionizing will
Mm-hmm.
take place between August 21st and September 11th. For people who don't understand what that means, all of the workers need to vote whether they want there to be a union or not.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just go there as a union now. Um, so this vote won't be from like officials and Bob Iger and shit. It will just be the VFX workers voting.
Yeah.
Um, and then once that vote is concluded on September 11th, the ballots will be counted on September 12th.
Yeah.
Interesting consideration.
Cool.
Do they go straight on strike if they vote to unionize?
I don't think they would. I think the way I see it playing out, I would be surprised if we don't see them unionize with everything going on and how VFX workers have been treated in recent by Marvel. I think what you'll see is the vote will come in, they will be unionizing. They will then say, as part of being a union, like these are the basic union things that need to be met. If Disney then doesn't agree to them or doesn't want to recognize their union, then I think they might vote to strike.
Yeah,
I think
that
they'll
makes
give
sense.
them an opportunity with it, just like, look, now we're a union. These are the basic union needs that need to have to be met. Will you meet them? Disney turns around and goes, nah, screw you. We've got enough to be dealing with. Then they'll go, all right, bye then. We're striking.
So I think the big problem that this union will face if they want to go on strike straight away is they won't have a treasure chest, a war fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
it's not even like the writer's strike, the actor's strike, which would have already have the strike funds that they would have built up over years from people
Mm-hmm.
paying their membership, but also your big donations from your superstars to
In the
make
last
sure that everyone was
month.
looked
Yeah.
after. Yeah. So they won't have the time to have built one up
Mm-hmm.
or anything. So they're kind of in a position where even though they're going to unionize, hopefully,
Yeah.
they're still kind of screwed for another 2 years potentially until they can actually build up a
Yeah.
big enough treasure chest to fight. The
Unless someone
only
comes
thing,
along.
yeah, the only thing that they can hope is that they unionize. The WGA and SAG-AFTRA still haven't managed a deal, and they're both like, "We will help you guys out if
Yeah.
you want to join, and we'll strike together." And like the Writers Guild have already said, even if we strike a deal, we're not
Yeah.
coming back to work until the
Everyone gets a
actors are
deal.
sorted.
Yeah.
So that might be a world in which they
Yeah.
can make a strike work, but that requires other unions to look after more than just their own, which is tricky.
I also the one worry I have is, well, yes, I think it will be good for them if they do unionize, and it will obviously hopefully lead to them getting better conditions and stuff. I do worry that Disney, sure, their in-house studios might have a union, and it's like, okay, well, we have to do these certain things for them. Is there going to be anything that, like, I would hope they need to put something in place that stops Marvel just going, all right, we'll just outsource it then. Like, we'll just give you the bare minimum and outsource more. Like, there needs to be some, I would hope that some rule gets put in place that, like, in-house has to get a certain percentage of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Otherwise,
imagine the hope is that they unionize and then they kind of invite other VFX workers to join the union, no matter who they work for.
yeah, potentially.
I mean, that's how all unions kind of start and
Yeah,
grow. And they take it from just being a workplace union to an industry union.
yeah,
Um, it's tricky to do that because you need funds to build the infrastructure to be able to support all these people. But hopefully, this is a step at least in the right direction.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And on news of actors, writers, and VFX workers not being paid enough money, Barbie becomes Warner Bros. Highest grossing movie domestically.
It's wild.
In a year where they are going, we can't pay you more money, you don't deserve more money. Warner Bros, the people who've brought you the Harry Potter films, the DC films, like
Do
big
you know what's...
franchises. Is Fast and Furious Warner Bros? No, they're Universal.
No, yeah.
Um,
Do you know
they've
what's...
had their biggest movie ever.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? It's like Warner Brothers needed this win. Let's be honest, they had quite a few flops, so like it's good for them. They want to celebrate it, but they've kind of screwed themselves by having such a successful film because essentially you're just gonna get the rights gold and SAG-AFTRA just be like, "What do you mean you can't afford it? We've literally watched you just make over $1 billion and have your highest grossing movie."
And do you know what the crazy thing is as well? And this is genuinely crazy. So the news broke that Margot Robbie's going to earn $50 million because of how much money this film's made. And everyone's like, wow, 50 million is a disgusting amount of money. So, okay, folks, she got this film greenlit.
Yeah.
She is the main actress. She's an executive producer, blah, blah, blah. Other than maybe Greta Gerwig and whoever wrote the script of Greta Gerwig,
Yeah.
she is one of the most important people in this film even existing. And she's getting what 2% of the film's
yeah, people don't realize how much of like a drop in the water 50 million is compared to over $1 billion.
Yeah, like let's be completely in crystal clear here. The work she's done to make this film a thing is probably worth actually 200 million. The majority of that money that's being paid to people and isn't just profit for the company. I mean, that profit for the company is also just going to go in people's pockets who literally haven't lifted a damn finger. But a lot of that money is going to be used to pay a bonus for the fucking CEO, your Warner Bros. Equivalent to Bob Iger. Who's Warner Bros. CEO?
Do you know what's funny? He'll get a performance bonus for this year.
Oh,
because...
David Zaslav. Oh, why do I recognize that name and I know he's done something sketchy in the last 6 months?
Probably said that I don't know.
Oh yeah, he was the fucking dickhead at their Q2 call who said we've saved loads of money by not paying people.
Oh,
That's the person who's going to get the benefit of this making $1 billion, and you guys are missing the point and blaming Margot Robbie for earning 50 million. That 1 billion doesn't exist without Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I'd
Pay
love
the people who make the fucking thing, not the people who sit there and just go, yes, you can go make me $1 billion. Sick of it.
Yeah, it's wild that they would now still probably stand there and go, yeah, we're not paying your demands.
Not that this podcast makes any money, but like in reality, it would be like us getting someone who, and we call them the CEO, and they don't do anything other than say, yes, you can record this week. And we send them the script, not the script, the talking points that I put together, and they greenlight that, and then they get to take 90% of whatever we make, even though me and you come up with all the talking points, we record it, we edit it, we upload it, we keep an eye on all of the news feeds and that to make sure we don't miss anything important. But because this one person greenlights stuff and answers email if we were to ever get one, they get 90% of the money. It makes no sense. Give the money to the people who make the money.
Yeah, put the money back into the fucking business.
Yes. Hot take, and I think I've said this before, there is actually no reason why a company needs to be profitable.
Yeah.
Pay everyone a salary. If the company makes profit, give bonuses, give pay rises, and then reinvest the rest of the money into expanding. You don't need to make any money.
Yeah.
The only reason profits exist is for stakeholders who have mummy and daddy's money that got invested in the company back in 1803 and they never have to work a day in their life because of it. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's wild.
However, on that
it's
note,
wild.
1 share of cutscene convos will be $50,000. Thank you.
We should do what Sentinels have done.
Yeah, it's gone so well for them. However, Barbie's money-making revenues are not done yet because they've
No, they're
announced when
not.
the digital release is coming. September 5th.
When is that? That's like a month, right?
No, Barbie came out 21st of July. So, month and a half.
Okay, still pretty
Pretty fucking
quick. Yeah,
But they also didn't announce it until like 3
true,
days ago after it had already gone to the fucking moon.
true.
But it does just hurt like the back end of it. I don't know if they're worried about it hitting another milestone that means they have to pay out more money, or if they're like, oh, our projections are saying we're not getting any more viewers now, so we can announce when it's coming out or what.
Maybe.
So I'm gonna out myself here.
Oh,
Despite being a self-proclaimed comic book fan, and despite claiming Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors,
okay.
I have never seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Not even the wait. I thought you were going to say
Not
like
even
you've
the
never
original.
read.
Nope. I've never seen it. I have meant to sit down and watch this probably 100 times, and then I get distracted. ADHD brain go brr.
Such a good film.
Yeah, and this is all I've ever heard. And I've seen like clips on. I'm like, oh, that looks fucking sick. I have to watch that soon, and I forget every single time without
Me
fail.
with the boys.
But the anime is coming, and that's
Yes,
gonna be
it
brand
is.
new stuff, which is a brilliant opportunity for me to watch that. And this is the most fucking insane, ridiculous part of this anime. So it's a remake of
Yep.
a thing that people already love and have seen recently. Like it's not that old; it's like 10 years old.
Something
Not even,
like,
maybe.
I don't remember when it came out.
Actually, it's probably old. Probably older than that. 2010, 13 years old.
Okay.
So they're bringing it back as an anime. It's a remake, but it's an anime TV show.
Yes.
But they've got the same
original
director
cast.
and Edgar Wright, and the original cast doing all the voicing. The only difference is it's an anime. This is the most batshit crazy remake ever. Everyone involved is like, this is really weird, but also really cool.
Yeah. It's because obviously you'll have seen clips of how like they incorporate stuff into
It's
the
proper
film.
comic book style.
Yeah. So it makes sense to do an anime version. Like it lets them go even more wild with that stuff and not be kind of limited with trying to make it work into like live action footage. So I mean, it's smart as well. Very smart of them to use the same cast because no one's gonna get the weird like, oh well, it was better when so and so was the voice of like. I only know that person as that character.
Yeah.
You won't have any of that. It's like they're still the voice. Like it's still them. It's gonna be weird. It like less weird if you watch this before you watch the original film. You're going into this fresh minded. I'm going in with like I know what the film's like, so this is gonna be weird to rewatch it as an anime, but also excited for it.
So I imagine we'll probably cover that when it comes out to
Yeah, I'm down.
Netflix on November 17th. We've got a while.
Yeah, we have.
But we got the first trailer for it.
Yes, look very cool.
I like the animation style. Like I said, I've never read the comic book, so I don't know if it matches
I don't know actually.
the comic. Yes, it is very, very similar to how the comic was
There
drawn.
we go then.
So, if you love the comic, if you love the film, this thing's probably going to be phenomenal. You're probably gonna love it. Michael Cera is one of my favorite kind of weird niche actors. I feel like I love him in everything he does.
Yeah.
He's just absolutely smashed it out of the park in Barbie as Alan. I mean, I see no reason this isn't going to probably destroy the internet.
I think this is one of the few things in a while, probably since like Stranger Things, where people have been excited for something from Netflix.
Yes. I assume Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the movie, is also on Netflix or coming back to Netflix when this drops.
That's a good question.
Oh, it's currently on Amazon Prime Video.
Ah.
In like included, which is interesting.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Well, you have a choice. You either go in fresh with no previous watch, or you watch the original and
I
then
think
watch
I'll
the
go
new.
in fresh just because the TV show's going to have more detail.
Yeah.
So then I won't feel like I've missed out on context when watching the film.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling that if I love both of these as much as I've always assumed I'm going to love it, that I may end up going and buying the entire comic run. I don't
I was
think
going to
it's
say, you
that
might
massive.
be increasing your to-read pile.
It's got so big. Look at it. It's fucking huge, man. But it's good because once I buy a house, I'm probably not going to be able to afford to buy comics for a while, so I'll be able to finally catch up.
If you
Work
have
smarter, not
time
harder.
to read
Yeah.
them.
Oh, I have to start making time. I won't be able to afford to turn the PC on anymore. It'll get turned on for recording and nothing else. Just sat there by candlelight reading my comic.
Like the good old days.
I don't know why I put it down in this order. It's probably just because the order I remembered stuff. On the news of studios being scumbags who don't want to give anyone money,
Yeah.
TSG, a Hollywood financer. So, as a general rule, I don't know how many people are aware of this. I've only become aware of this in like the last few years. Disney don't actually put the money up for their films.
Well, yeah,
They greenlight the project, and then they essentially go to a financer, a company that will go out and they'll get clients to give the money, or they'll have their own pool of money.
Yeah.
And they're essentially like an investment firm. So sometimes they really like a project, they'll invest the company's money to make them more money.
Yeah.
And they'll also, if they need even more money, they'll go out to backers and they're like, here is your potential return on investment, blah, 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 blah. There are always people who want to invest in films because it's like, oh, I can make money and say I'm involved in something artistic.
Yep.
It might be the only thing rich people are actually useful for. Anyway, TSG has filed a lawsuit against Disney because they have been using every accounting trick in Hollywood, that's a direct quote, to hide hundreds of millions of dollars of profit from TSG. So, the way it basically works is I am Disney, Hori is TSG. I go, give me 100 million to make this film. Hori goes, cool. For every dollar of profit you make, so he gets back his 100 million, bare minimum. Every dollar of profit you make, I get 20 cents, as a for instance. I don't know the actual numbers. I'm then using creative accounting tricks to make it look like I've made 500 million instead of 1 billion so that I get to pay Hori half as much.
Yeah.
But Disney are doing this for all of their fucking films.
Now, you know how the easy way to think about this, we all hate how rich people do every trick in the book to pay the minimum amount of tax possible by writing stuff off, lowering down their yearly income profit so they pay less tax. Essentially the same thing. Disney is minimizing on book how much profit they've made, so there's the percentage they have to pay to TSG obviously then is a smaller amount.
You know what the crazy thing is?
Go on.
The most insane batshit crazy thing is, if Disney were using this stolen money from the other rich fuckers to pay their actors and writers, I'd be like, yeah, get fucked. I would fully be like, yeah, screw it. That all of that money is just going to people who worked on the film. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's not even doing that. It's just Disney holding even more profit. It is both ends of the people Disney can screw out of money. They are screwing out of money. You don't get to do both. You can either be Robin Hood, you can take from TSG and their investors, who are other rich arseholes.
Yeah.
And you can make sure the actors, the writers, the people who work on all the props and everything get paid very well.
Yeah.
And I'd have been like, yeah, fuck it. Let Disney be Disney. That's my mega corporation. Words I will never actually say, but you get the idea. Or they can be real scum.
Yeah.
And they can do what they're doing to the actors and writers currently. But make sure you're paying back your fucking money you owe to the other rich people. At least be the rich scum who are just going to fuck off the poor and be rich for all your rich friends.
Well, it's like, at least if you're paying TSG back properly, you can be like, guys, it's not our fault. TSG's taking all our money. and like trying to like shove off the blame. No, but you're going, nah, fuck you. And actually, no, sorry, we can't pay you back, TSG. We've got to keep all the money. And then you just got Bob Iger swimming in a room of cash.
Yeah. I'm
Do you know the
I have
problem?
never wanted more a mega corporation to fold.
This lawsuit, I don't think is going to stick very well because you're going to have an issue like you have with tax, where it's not tax evasion. It's what I forget which way around it is. It's tax evasion's bad. Tax avoidance is just the way
Tax
they work.
evasion is where you just don't pay your tax. Tax avoidance is where you use creative accounting to pay the least amount of tax possible.
Which,
a la Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, which is where people will make a mistake and then they accidentally step into tax evasion and then they get hit. I think them hitting them with a lawsuit, saying they've been using every accounting trick possible, they're hoping that there's like one misstep.
I'm willing to bet they won't have made this lawsuit unless throughout Disney's process they've made one fuck up that allows them to go, all of these films, you owe us the rest of our money.
I think it's either they've got wind of something, so they know there's been a fuck up, and so they're like, fine, we're going after it. Or someone in TSG, like some like intern accountant's come along and he's gone, so you know how for the past 5 years you've given Disney this much money? Looking at how much their films have made and how much they've reinvested into things, and then someone sat there and worked out all the numbers and gone, hang on, should we not have been paid more by Disney? And then some executive at TSG's gone, they're stealing our money. Lawsuit. And then hopefully something sticks.
Let's be clear. I feel like in this industry there's like an expected level of accounting bullshittery. Because like it's very well known that Disney and Universal and Warner Bros. They spin up these like fake companies essentially that take out loans and then go bust because of the loans. But then Disney get the profit and like the benefit of the loans without ever having to properly pay it back. This is a thing that actually fucking happens. So they're just using all of these tricks to like create and knock down company after company after company after company to hide this money. But actually they've still got it. And TSG's called bullshit and they've gone, we let you away with 80% of what you're doing, but now you're really taking the piss.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like there was a boom in cinema, and they were probably like, Disney was making so much money off MCU. TSG was probably like, oh, we're rolling it. Things have gone a little bit down, and like Disney's obviously talked about potentially selling off things, different like Disney's like making out they're not in a bad spot. So TSG's gone, oh, hang on a second, all those things we let slide, we want all our money before you disappear with like all our money. Like actually pay us properly now. We let this shit slide it because we were making loads, but I actually think TSG is worried Disney's gonna disappear. So then they don't, like, they're trying to make sure they're paid properly before that happens.
Yeah, and it's not like they were just like giving the money for like tiny little projects. One of the films they financed was Avatar: Way of the Water.
It's all in a pool that James Cameron.
Yeah, just I'm convinced James Cameron doesn't actually spend money on a film. He just uses the money and throws it in a pit of fire. That's the kind of director.
All that money went on the cost of importing that seawater into a.
I think what I'll do is, if I've managed to convince someone to make me a director, I'll work out how much it's going to cost. Say 50 million. I'll get a studio to give me 150 million, and I'll just burn 100 million of it, just as a massive fuck you.
Just do what I bet James Cameron spent all of that budget on graphics cards. That's why there was a shortage. He had to fund the render farms for his water renders.
Yeah. And more Disney being shit. We let Disney get away with a lot in the past. And like there was a lot of stuff where it's like there's no actual drama happening, so we just kind of forget about it, like you always do in mega corporations. When they're not actively in the news for being bastards, you forget that they are such bastards.
Yeah,
Disney are having a real shit run at the minute.
they are.
And it's nice because it makes me remember that I do hate all mega corporations. No matter how many cute mouths they have, they are still scum.
Also, shows to our viewers that we don't just hate on DC and Warner Brothers.
Oh, yeah,
we
no.
do also hate on Disney and Marvel.
Every single mega corporation can burn in a hole. Anyway, Disney is shutting down the Lucasfilm studio in Singapore that made the Clone Wars and other animated projects like Bad
Rebels.
Batch, Rebels, etc. They weren't the sole studio that did it, but they were the core studio that did a lot of the work. Any other work was kind of outsourced.
And also to note, like the Singapore studio is Lucasfilm Animated Studio. Like it's all they do is animation.
Is this a bad sign for animated Star Wars projects?
So we slightly, before we start recording, we were just looking up about this and touched on it. I was thinking maybe they're just shifting resources. I looked up like a lot of their other studios, like this was the only one on animation. They have the ILM Industrial Light and Magic ones, which I guess probably do generally all types of VFX. In a hopeful world, in a beautiful world where the writers are paid properly and actors are paid properly, and we have the best MCU TV series.
Yeah, and VFX workers are treated like people.
Yeah. In this wonderful world that we clearly don't live in, I'd like to think, because of Visions, they've realized, wow, there's a lot of amazing studios out there that can do great animated Star Wars projects. And realizing, oh, we can trust other studios with Star Wars projects. We don't have to keep it in-house. And they're like, oh, we'll just start outsourcing. Like we'll have one of these studios we love working with can do a whole series. But then you brought me back to reality.
Yeah, I brought you crashing back down to earth with the more terrifying and unfortunately realistic expectation that Disney are showing a lot of interest in AI.
Yes, they are.
And I am deeply concerned that with the amount of Star Wars animated content that is a relatively consistent style, bar things like lightsaber thickness, realistically, most people who don't watch a fuck ton of animated stuff are going to look at Clone Wars and Rebels and go, yeah, they look basically the same style-wise. They could build an AI, train it on that style, and just use it to pump out garbage.
Do you know what's bad? Now, the more we've been talking about this, you watch Corridor Digital stuff on occasion. A while back, when AI stuff was still very fresh, they did a anime rock paper scissors video, and that was all done with an AI system that essentially takes like live action footage and creates like an anime style. Got a mixed opinions on it. It was very like early days of AI. They did a second one.
Realized how bad it was for artists.
They've done a second one the other week. Obviously a lot cleaner looking. It's already out there, and very possible that they could, with some mocap, that could be anyone in an office, very easily probably AI animate a Star Wars thing. There's so much that they can feed into the system. Like they have so much footage they can feed into it for it to reference. Like it could probably very easily produce something. And I think you're right. It's with how much interest Disney's shown, with the fact that they were posting job things for AI people, I do think it's a worry that maybe they would lean heavily on AI. I think what we might see is the VFX studios of ILM will do like the basic groundwork, and they'll use AI to cut a lot of time down. Which,
I mean, people need to push back. I know it's scary, and I know it's never easy to say no to your boss, but the people who are at the lowest level are tasked with this need to say to
Mm.
their guy, "No, I'm not doing that," and he needs to go, "You're fucking right." He needs to say, and yeah, it'll probably have to go up 18 levels, and at one point you're going to get the first person who disagrees. But guess what? Form a fucking union and go, no.
I think,
Let the actual artists, the people whose jobs it is, decide what AI is acceptable versus dangerous.
yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? There's ethical use of AI, and then there's what a lot of Disney's talked. We hear Disney talking about of like replacing actors with just AI versions of them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Ethical use of AI is like what we saw with Spider-Verse. Like, rather than an artist sitting there for months on end drawing the same line on a character's face just for that comic book line effect, like, sure, get an AI to be able to replicate that effect and like essentially cut out like you going frame by frame. That's smart use of AI. An artist still has to go in there and do the groundwork and set like have it set up, and it's just like jump filling in the gap between like major points. That's a smart use of AI. If Lucasfilms goes that way, and in maybe the middle ground that we see is studios, plenty of studios still work on this stuff, but like they start using AI to help just like cut out some of that tedious work because it is a very consistent style. They can possibly find some stuff, like find ways to do that. I just don't want another worry. I'm just thinking is like what if they just cut out having voice actors? They have enough like like voice lines from these different voice actors for the main characters that they could just like replicate stuff. It's a like with the way Disney's talked about AI, it's worrying. I still am holding out hope that it's just like they're gonna outsource more. Hopefully.
I hope so. I'm not outsourcing in the way of just trying to not pay their own workers, but imagine if you went, right, we want 2 seasons of a show.
Mm-hmm.
This is the show. We'll do the voice acting and the script writing. We love this episode you did for Visions, or this concept you gave us for Visions. Can you do it in that style?
Well, yeah, that's like I would love for this to be a world we're going into now, which I who knows, but it would be a great world if it's like they're going. I don't know. We're doing this story. We loved what you did in Visions. They're an indie studio. To give like these indie studios like a bigger series to work on is like huge for them, and I think Star Wars is realizing, okay, there's studios that can do great work. The fans are loving the style of. It makes sense to like one, they can outsource it so it's less pressure on themselves, and two, also would allow them to get more stuff made if they're spreading out like different things across different studios. And it gives these studios amazing opportunities because like who the fuck doesn't want to work on a Star Wars project? Like
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. But that also relies on us living in a world where Disney aren't scum.
yeah. Wonder
Gal
Woman.
Gadot.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one. It was still kind of advancing last week, and we could have spoken about it, but I was like, this is a very fluid situation. I don't even know where to start with it. And it's not really got any clearer, but I've spent a bit more time looking at it to try and understand what the fuck's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Gal Gadot,
A few weeks back,
yeah, that she's been told by James Gunn and Peter Safran, sorry, that they have plans for her and that they're working on a Wonder Woman 3 featuring her as Wonder Woman, and that she is in their plans for the DCU.
So, well, there's two parts to this, right? Because it was like, I'd say that maybe a month ago, there was something where there's like, Wonder Woman 3 is in the work. Gal, like she said, Wonder Woman 3 is in the works and she's working on it with James Gunn. Then it was like, she was claiming, well, I think actually the order of events was like, it came out that there is no plan for Wonder Woman. Like, James Gunn came out and was like, we have no plan for Wonder Woman. Because obviously, after Gal Gadot announced that, everyone was up in arms of like, wow, so you got rid of Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, but Gal Gadot's the same age. Like, why is she good enough to stay? I mean, there's numerous reasons for that anyway, but fans were a bit up in arms, so James Gunn does as usual, tries to clear the water a bit, said that, like, no, we're not working on Wonder Woman 3. So then she hits back and she's like, oh, I was told by James Gunn that they are working on Wonder Woman 3, and they loved her as Wonder Woman and want to work on something and involve her in DCU. But now I get the sense that James Gunn's like, no, we never said that.
Yeah, it's kind of been radio silence from him since then. There's been no real discussion. Let's be completely clear. She was not good as Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is not a good actress.
Yeah, she's pretty basic.
Like, there's not a lot there. And
I do think the first Wonder Woman film was good.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of DCU.
But
it's like,
wasn't.
Also, it's like, do you know what I feel like? I said this in a message to you. I feel like this was when everything was changing over, and James Gunn obviously met with everybody during that period of time to kind of see what projects were being worked on, what like projects were wanted to be made and what were not, while he was figuring out what he was going to be doing. I feel like there was a meeting. He was like, "Yeah, we liked you as Wonder Woman. We thought you did a good job." Obviously, she wanted to be making a Wonder Woman 3. There was kind of that rumor back then that there was going to be a Wonder Woman 3. It wouldn't surprise me if at first he was thinking, yeah, well, maybe we can still make one and it'll be like an Elseworlds. But then it's like, as he's realized, and this is like probably way back early days when he didn't really know what was going on, probably didn't promise her that, yes, we're going to make it. He probably was like, well, that might fit in. Sort of like attitude of like, maybe there's a place for that to still happen. And then it's like he's figured out, nah, I'm doing DCU, like we're starting from scratch. This is the Superman I want to do and all this. He's like, so he's never gone back to it. And she's just presumed, oh yeah, it's still happening, but not talk to him and then put it out there to the fans. Almost as if trying to use the fans to pressure him into confirming it is what it feels like. It's almost being like, oh, if he's not going to confirm it, I'll put it out there. So then he's going to have to do it because the fans are going to be so loud about wanting it. Exactly. And instead it's like, nah, I never said that. See you later.
No one's even and no one's even like desperate for it.
Everyone's just like,
have been, I don't believe her, or why would they keep her and not Henry Cavill?
Yeah, and then it's like now we're realizing, oh, it's not actually happening. She was just delusional.
Yeah,
it's very much a like she's like James Gunn said some very loose thing early on when he probably first came into this position, and she's just clung on to that as like, yes, this is happening, and it's
exactly.
It's not. It would be so confusing. Like it makes no sense for that to like even happen.
Bearing in mind, chapter 1 is gods and creatures.
She'd know by now if it was happening.
Like Wonder Woman is peak for gods and creatures. She would have been announced.
Yeah.
I don't get. I don't get it.
Also, wait, we did get something. We got there's going to be the TV series based on the Amazonians, isn't there?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where he's going to obviously go with how he's going to introduce Wonder Woman and stuff, I imagine.
You'd expect so.
So it's like, it just screams, this was like a conversation ages ago. She's not heard anything more, so she's like, fuck it, I'm just going to put it out there.
Do you know what it kind of seems like? As someone who is not even remotely in this industry, but as someone who could hazard a guess at what might have happened, she's asked her agent what's going on, and he didn't have an answer. And instead of going, I don't know, let me see, he's gone, yeah, no, James and Peter, they love you. They'll definitely get you back. Don't worry about it.
No, I think you're right. This screams like her agent or something being like, oh, yeah, they said after like you tried with them that they loved you. So like, I'm sure this is still in the works and everything. And she's gone, oh, great. Talk about it on some interview.
Yeah.
So she's just got egg on her
I could very, very easily seeing that be the case.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, I'm glad that it seems to be not true, because it would have just been, we've already talked about our worries about this being a messy transition period. and that would have just made it way worse. Way worse.
It's an absolute
Do,
mess.
do you know what's funny? Maybe there was a sliver of it happening, but with like Shazam and Flash and how people have responded to her being like shoved into every single film that was coming out, fans were not happy about the fact that Wonder Woman just kept showing up.
Yeah.
Like James Gunn might have gone, yeah, no.
She just appears out of nowhere. You hear that fucking egregious. Yeah. I'm just like, no. If she turns up in Blue Beetle, I might actually hate it.
Yeah, that would ruin the film.
So we'll see. But I want her gone. Get her out. Go be part of the family
Give us a
again
fresh
over in the
start.
Fast and Furious world.